The rain hammered the roof like 1,000 unspoken regrets. Each drop a reminder that Seattle never let you forget what you were running from. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the half-empty bottle of bourbon on the counter, my fingers trembling as I poured another glass. Too much, always too much these days. And then the doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, slicing through the storm like a confession I wasn't ready to hear. Wyatt Harlan. That's me. 35 years old, architect by trade, husband by habit, and something else entirely by the flickering light of doubt that had been gnawing at me for months. My wife, Emma, was gone again, off to Portland for some conference on sustainable design. The irony of it all lost on her as she kissed my cheek goodbye that morning. "Don't wait up," Shed said with that tired smile. The one that used to light up rooms but now just cast longer shadows. Our house in Capitol Hill, with its craftsman beams and bay windows overlooking the evergreens, felt less like a home and more like a stage set for a play we'd both forgotten our lines to. I'd known Finn Whitaker for all of 3 weeks, but in that short span, head burrowed into the cracks of my routine like ivy on brick. He was the new tenant in the carriage house out back, a spillover from the main rental on our block. A lanky artist in his late 20s with ink-stained fingers and a laugh that cut through the gray like sunlight on Puget Sound. Head moved from Austin, chasing the muse or maybe just cheaper rent, hauling in canvases and crates of turpentine that smelled of wild possibility. We'd met over a shared fence line, him sketching the skeletal branches of our maple tree while I pruned it half-heartedly, both of us pretending the autumn chill wasn't biting quite so deep. That night, with Emma's absence echoing louder than the thunder rolling in from the Olympics, I should have locked the doors and drowned in my drink alone. But Finn had texted earlier, "Storm's biblical. Mind if I borrow some coffee? Power's flickering out here. Harmless enough. Neighborly." Except nothing with Finn felt harmless anymore. Not the way his green eyes lingered a beat too long when we talked, or how Head brushed sawdust from his jeans with a casual grace that made my throat tighten. I opened the door, and there he was, soaked to the bone, his flannel shirt clinging like a second skin, dark hair plastered to his forehead in defiant curls. Water streamed down his face, mixing with the faint sheen of sweat from whatever frantic painting Head been lost in. "Wyatt," he said, voice low and rough, like gravel under tires. "You look like hell." I stepped aside, letting him in, the bourbon-scented air between us thickening with something unspoken. He toweled off with a dishcloth I handed him, movements efficient, unself-conscious, while I poured him a mug of black coffee that had gone cold on the brewer. We settled at the scarred oak table, the one Emma and I had salvaged from a yard sale in Ballard years ago, back when love was a verb we conjugated effortlessly. "Tell me about Austin," I said, needing the distraction, the normalcy of conversation to anchor me. Finn leaned back, cradling the mug, his fingers long and calloused from brushes and charcoal. He was all lean muscle and quiet intensity, the kind of guy who could wear faded Levi's and a thermal like they were tailored on Seville Row. Caucasian like me, but with that sun-kissed remnant from Texas hills. Freckles dusting his nose, a perpetual squint from staring at horizons I could only imagine. "Austin was heat and heartbreak," he replied, eyes distant. "Parties that blurred into mornings. Lovers who came and went like monsoon rains. I painted a mural for a bar on 6th Street once. Giant bluebonnets twisting into lovers' limbs. Got me a reputation, but not the kind that pays rent." He paused, sipping, then fixed me with that gaze. "What about you? Seattle's got that rainy soul suck, doesn't it? Makes a man question everything." I laughed, bitter and short, the sound foreign in my own throat. Question everything. If only he knew. Emma and I had met in college at UW, her in environmental science, me buried in blueprints and late-night renders. We'd built this life brick by brick. Wedding in the San Juans, a honeymoon hike up Rainier, her laugh echoing off the snowfields. But somewhere along the trail, the path forked. Kids? Shed wanted them. Hedged. Work swallowed me whole, projects stacking like Jenga towers on the edge of collapse. And then there were the dreams. The ones that woke me in sweats, fragments of hands on my skin that weren't hers, whispers in the dark that tasted like forbidden fruit. The power flickered, then died, plunging us into a velvet black broken only by the blue-white flashes of lightning etching the windows. Finn cursed softly, standing to peer out. "Generators my ass," he muttered. "This place is a tinderbox for moods." I fumbled for candles in the drawer, beeswax stubs from some farmer's market in Pike Place, their flames dancing like hesitant confessions when I lit them. We migrated to the living room, the leather couch creaking under us, the storm a relentless percussion outside. Finn stretched out, boots kicked off by the hearth, socks mismatched. One gray, one navy. Like he didn't give a damn about convention. He talked then, really talked, words spilling like the rain. About his ex, a sculptor named Reyes who'd carved him hollow before vanishing to Brooklyn. About the canvas he'd been wrestling with, a storm-tossed figure adrift on oil-slick waves, mirroring his own chaos. I listened, bourbon loosening my tongue, until the stories turned personal. "Emma's away a lot," I admitted, staring into the flame.
Conférence, client.
"Leaves me with too much time to think. Too much time to scroll through apps I deleted the next morning. Profiles of men with easy smiles and promises of no strings. Guilt gnawed at me, a familiar beast, but tonight it felt duller, blunted by the whiskey and the way Finn's knee brushed mine in the dim light. Accidental, maybe, but electric. He turned, face half-shadowed, the candlelight carving hollows under his cheekbones. "You deserve more than echoes, Wyatt." His voice was a murmur, intimate, laced with something that made my pulse stutter. I met his eyes, and there it was, the hook, the pull, like gravity shifting underfoot. He leaned in, slow as molasses, giving me every out, every second to pull back. But I didn't. Our lips met, tentative at first, a question in the press of mouths, then deepening into an answer I hadn't known I was seeking. It was soft, exploratory, his stubble rasping against mine, tasting of coffee and rain and raw need. My hand found his neck, fingers threading into wet curls, and he sighed into me, a sound that unraveled something deep in my chest. The world narrowed to that point of contact, the storm fading to white noise, Emma's ghost momentarily banished. When we broke apart, breaths mingling, his eyes searched mine, vulnerable in the flicker. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. But I couldn't. Not then. Not with the heat of him seeping through my shirt. Not with the ache that had been building for years finally cracking open. We moved like that, hands mapping unfamiliar terrain, clothes shedding in a trail from couch to hallway, the floorboards cool under bare feet. In the bedroom, under the slanted ceiling where rain pattered like applause, he did it. He touched me with a reverence that stole my breath, fingers tracing scars I didn't know I carried, lips murmuring affirmations against my skin. "Beautiful," he said, and for the first time, I believed it. Not as a husband, not as a man playing a role, but as Wyatt unadorned and alive. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, finding us tangled in sheets that smelled of salt and surrender. Finn stirred first, pressing a kiss to my shoulder before slipping away to his side of the property, leaving me with the echo of his warmth and a heart pounding like it had run a marathon. Emma would be home by noon. The coffee would brew. Life would resume its script. But something had shifted irreparably. That night, when she wasn't home, head cracked me open, and now the light was spilling out, fierce and unyielding. I lay there, staring at the ceiling fan turning lazy circles, replaying every moment. The way his body arched under mine, the shared gasps that blurred into laughter, the quiet after, when we talked in whispers about dreams deferred. Finn had confessed his own ghosts. Growing up in a ranch house outside Lubbock, where different was a word whispered behind barn doors. His first kiss stolen in a hayloft with a farmhand named Jesse, only to be met with fists and fire the next day. Head run north, chasing reinvention, but the scars lingered like faded tattoos. And me? ID buried mine under layers of normalcy. Frat parties at UW where ID laughed too loud at the jokes. Dates with women that felt like dress rehearsals. Emma's hand in mine at galas where the champagne tasted like obligation. But last night, in the candlelit haze, ID tasted freedom, sharp and intoxicating. Terrified me. What now? Tell her? Pretend? The architect in me wanted blueprints, a plan to rebuild. The man in me just wanted to feel that breathless again. By 10, the storm had cleared, leaving streets slick and air crisp with pine. I showered, scrubbing away the evidence, but the scent of him clung. Musk and turpentine, embedded in my pores. Emma texted, "Traffic's hell." Home by 2. I paced the kitchen, brewing fresh coffee, the machine hissing like my nerves. When the back door creaked, I froze, half expecting Finn to appear with that crooked smile. But it was the wind, rattling the latch. He did show, though, around 11, knocking softly before letting himself in with the spare key ID given him for emergencies. "Hey," he said, casual as if we'd shared nothing more than a beer, but his eyes betrayed him, soft, searching. He carried a sketch pad under one arm, pages curling at the edges. "Brought this. Thought you might want to see." We sat at the table again, the same one from last night, now bathed in watery sunlight filtering through the blinds. He flipped open the pad, revealing a charcoal study, me from memory, head bowed over a blueprint, jaw set in concentration, but with an undercurrent of melancholy in the stroke of his lines. "Captured it last week," he explained. "You looked haunted, like you were building someone else's life." The words landed like stones in still water, rippling through me. "Finn, about last night." I started, but he held up a hand, gentle.
Don't apologize.
Or explain. Just be here with me for now. He reached across, fingers lacing with mine, thumb stroking the knuckle. It was simple, that touch, but it grounded me, pulling me back from the abyss of what-ifs. We talked then, not of regrets, but of possibilities. Him showing me his studio in the carriage house, canvases leaning like drunken soldiers against walls papered in newsprint. He painted en plein air, he said, chasing the fleeting light over Lake Union, the ferries cutting wakes like silver scars. I envied that freedom, the way he wore his queerness like a favorite jacket, unapologetic, lived in. Me? ID spent years in the closet, door cracked just enough for air but never light. Coming out in Seattle wasn't the battlefield it might be in Lubbock, but at 35, married, with a mortgage and a reputation in the firm, felt like defusing a bomb with shaking hands. Emma arrived at 2:15, arms laden with takeout from a food cart pod, falafel wraps and hummus, her attempt at spontaneous date night. She breezed in, cheeks pink from the drive, dropping bags on the counter with a flourish. "Miss me?" she asked, pecking my lips, oblivious to the way my body stiffened, the guilt blooming hot in my chest. "Always?" I lied, forcing a smile as I helped unpack. Finn's sketchpad lay hidden in my office, but his presence lingered, a phantom limb. Dinner was strained normalcy, her recounting conference drama, some panel on green roofs gone sideways. Me nodding, interjecting with half-hearted quips, my mind replaying the curve of his hip under my palm. She noticed, of course, Emma always did. "You seem off, Wyatt. Rough night." "Just the storm," I said, pushing quinoa around my plate. "Knocked out the power for a bit." She hummed, sympathetic, then launched into plans for the weekend. A hike up Discovery Park. Maybe, to reconnect. The word hung heavy, a plea wrapped in routine. I agreed, because what else could I do? But as she cleared plates, humming an indie tune from her playlist, I slipped out to the back porch for air, the evergreens whispering secrets in the breeze. Finn was there, in his window, silhouette bent over a canvas, brush in hand. He looked up, sensing me, and raised a palm in quiet solidarity. No words, just that look, the one that said we'll figure it, and it steadied me even as the weight of deception settled deeper. The next few days blurred into a tense limbo. Work at the firm Harlan and Associates, a boutique outfit specializing in adaptive reuse, offered blessed distraction. I threw myself into revisions for the Ridge Valley project, a warehouse conversion in a sleepy suburb outside Tacoma, poring over elevations and material specs until my eyes burned. But Finn haunted the margins. A text about a gallery opening downtown, you should come. Bring Emma if you want. I didn't. Instead, I met him there alone, claiming a late meeting to her. The gallery was in Pioneer Square, tucked into a brick-vaulted space that smelled of varnish and ambition. Finn's piece hung near the back, a massive abstract of swirling blues and golds, titled Tidal Pull, evoking the inexorable draw of bodies to shore. "It's us," he murmured when I found him nursing a plastic cup of cheap Merlot, away from the cluster of critics and collectors. The storm, the surrender. I swallowed hard, the wine bitter on my tongue. "Emma thinks him at a client dinner." He nodded, no judgment, just a quiet ache in his eyes. "How long can you keep this up, Wyatt?" The question echoed as we wandered the exhibits, shoulders brushing in the crowd, stolen glances like sparks on dry tinder. Outside, under the viaduct's hum, he pulled me into an alley, kissing me fierce and fleeting, hands fisting my coat. "I want more," he breathed against my neck. "Not shadows. You." Panic surged, sweet and sharp. "I can't just." "I know." He stepped back, hands raised. "But don't ask me to pretend it didn't happen." Back home, Emma waited with questions, innocent, probing. "How was the dinner?" Shed made tea, chamomile, her ritual for unwinding. I spun half-truths, the firm's expansion, a potential bid on a Seattle landmark. She listened, head tilted, then reached for my hand. "We need to talk, Wyatt. Really talk. Things feel distant." My heart seized. "Distant how?" "You're here, but not. Like you're designing a life parallel to ours." Her eyes, brown and steady, held mine. "Do you still love me?" The question was a knife twisting slow. "Of course," I said, because love wasn't the issue. It was the shape of it, the fit that had warped over time. We made love that night, mechanical and tender, her body familiar as an old map, but my mind wandered to Finn's freckled shoulders, the way he gasped my name like a prayer. Guilt festered, a slow poison. I avoided Finn for 2 days. Texts unanswered, fence line untended. But on Thursday, a package arrived at the firm. A small canvas, unframed, depicting a lone figure on a cliffside, arms outstretched to the sea. No note, but I knew. "Jump," it whispered. That evening, I drove to his studio unannounced, rain sheeting the windshield like tears. He opened the door in paint-splattered overalls, surprise softening to relief. "Wyatt." We didn't speak at first, just collided, mouths hungry, hands urgent. On his cot amid the clutter of tubes and pallets, we lost ourselves again, bodies speaking what words couldn't. This was real, reckless, right? After lying spent and staring at exposed beams, I confessed fragments. The college hookups ID buried, the porn tabs closed in haste, the terror of unraveling the life ID built. Finn traced patterns on my chest, lazy and loving. "You're not broken, Wyatt. Just unfolding. Unfolding." The word stuck as I drove home, Emma's car already in the drive. She was in the kitchen, phone to ear, voice pitched low. "Yes, he's been distant. No, I don't think it's an affair." My blood ran cold. She hung up, spotting me, face crumpling. "Therapy, Wyatt. We need it. Tomorrow." I nodded, numb, as she outlined a counselor's name. Dr. Ellis in Belltown, specializing in marital drift. The session loomed like a guillotine, but beneath the dread stirred resolve. No more half-lives. Friday dawned brittle, fog cloaking the sound like a shroud. Therapy was a sterile office with ferns and abstract prints. Dr. Ellis, a soft-spoken woman in her 50s with wire rims and a notepad that didn't judge. Emma went first, spilling worries. The silence is growing, my late nights, her fear of fading into roommates. Then me, words tumbling halting, work stress, existential architect's blues, the lie tasting like ash. But I held back the core, the fin-shaped secret pulsing like a second heart. I love her, I said finally, but am lost in myself. Dr. Ellis nodded. Self-discovery isn't betrayal, Wyatt. It's prerequisite. Home that night, Emma cooked. Salmon from the market, asparagus grilled crisp. We ate on the deck, heaters warding off the chill, city lights twinkling below like distant stars. I want us to try, she said, hand over mine. Really try. Me too. And I meant it in the warped way of half-truths. But as she slept, I texted Finn. Coffee tomorrow? Neutral ground. We met at a dive in Fremont, the kind with vinyl booths scarred by decades of confessions. Over eggs and hash, he sketched on a napkin, a quick line of my profile, intense and alive. Therapy? He asked, reading me like a book. Yeah, with her. I stirred sugar into black coffee, watching it dissolve. I have to figure this out. He reached across, squeezing my wrist. Whatever you decide, I'm here. But don't string me along, Wyatt. I can't be the side plot. The word stung true. That afternoon, back at the firm, a call came. Ridge Valley project greenlit, groundbreaking in 2 weeks. Celebration drinks with the team at a bar in Belltown. Toasts to progress. I drank too much, the buzz loosening inhibitions, and texted Finn a photo of the skyline. Wish you were seeing this. His reply, I am. From my window. Come over after. I did, slipping away early, claiming fatigue. His studio glowed warm, a haven of color amid the grayscale night. We painted that time, him guiding my hand on canvas, smearing cobalt and sienna, laughter bubbling as we ruined more than we made. It turned intimate, bodies streaked in pigment, a messy baptism. Stay, he murmured post-climax, arms banding me close. I can't, but I did, till 3, dozing in fits, dreams of crumbling facades and open skies. Saturday brought confrontation. Emma found the canvas in my office, the cliffside figure, bold and accusing. Who's this from? She asked, voice steel-wrapped hurt. A client gift, lie upon lie crumbling. She searched my eyes, then nodded, but the fracture was there, widening. That evening, she proposed a weekend away. Cabin in the Cascades, just us. Reset, she called it. I agreed, but my mind was on Finn, the pull inexorable. The drive to the cabin was silent tension, evergreens blurring past like accusations. We hiked trails slick with moss, her hand in mine feeling like obligation. Nights by the fire, she talked dreams. Kids again, a family unspooling. I listened, heart aching, the secret a stone in my gut. On the second night, phone signal faint. A text from Finn pierced through. Miss you. Gallery sold title pull. Dedicated it to you in the catalog. I stared at the screen, tears pricking, then deleted it. But Emma saw, snatching the phone. Who the hell is Finn? The dam broke. Words poured, nights, touches, the breathless revelation. She listened, face ashen, then slapped me, the crack echoing off log walls. You bastard. How long? Weeks. But the feelings. Longer. Silence stretched, broken only by the fire's pop. She packed at dawn, driving back alone, leaving me with the cabin's hollow echo. I called Finn, voice wrecked. Come get me. He did, truck rumbling up the gravel, pulling me into an embrace that smelled of home. We drove in quiet, his hand on my thigh, steadying. Back in Seattle, Emma's things were gone. Note on the counter, therapy alone now. Figure yourself out. Grief hit like a wave, but beneath it, relief, space to breathe. Finn and I navigated the wreckage. Awkward dinners, shared sketches, nights where love felt tentative, earned. Months blurred. Divorce papers signed in a lawyer's office overlooking the market. Amicable as these things go. Emma found peace in Portland. A new job, tentative texts of olive branches. With Finn, it deepened. trips to the San Juans, painting in plein air on beaches, his head on my chest as fairies horned in the distance. I came out to the firm, friends, family and scattered calls from Maine relatives. Not all embraced, but the ones who mattered did, their love a bridge over chasms. 1 year on, that stormy night a memory etched in thunder, we stood on our deck. Our now, the house bought out from Emma in settlement. Rain pattered soft, a lullaby. Finn sketched me by candlelight, same table, same mugs. Breathless still? He asked, eyes twinkling. Every day. I kissed him, slow and sure, the city humming approval below. Life wasn't blueprint perfect, but it was mine, unfolding, free, fiercely human.